Told the plug I need 100 pigs, now my shoebox got 100 G. I told my plug I need 100 pigs, now my shoebox got 100 G. Told the plug I need 100 pigs, now my shoebox got 100 G. I told my plug I need 100 pigs, now my shoebox got 100 G. I'm in Cali every week, I go hard. Bro said he got sour, need that whole yard. I'm chasing turkey bag, chasing gold yard.
Good afternoon. You're listening to Cannabis Corner on WNHHLP 103.5 FM, broadcasting live from downtown New Haven. We are streaming live on TuneIn Radio and NewHavenIndependent.org. We're also streaming live video on Facebook Live. Just go to facebook.com/New Haven Independent or go to your Facebook page and look us up. I'm tired of staring at your face. Put it to the side.
Switch that up, Joe. Switch it up a little bit.
Man,
Get comfortable, man. That mic was about to hit you in the face, brother.
I'm telling you, man. I was about to bite it. So here we are.
How's it going, Joe? Welcome back. Another week, brother. Another week. It's good to see you.
How are you?
I enjoy my Mondays with you. My brother's gorgeous out, man.
It's finally nice.
It is
we
finally
had a
nice
weekend.
out. It is gorgeous out.
Yep. Yes, it is. It is Monday, May the 20th.
Yes, sir.
2019.
It's Yale's graduation. Congratulations to all those new graduates. And,
That's right.
Go out and prosper in the world.
Yep, let's move them on their way.
That's right.
Anyway, so I'm not in the greatest of moods today.
I know, Joe. You're.
I'm really not. I'm actually kind of fired up.
I get that.
And I don't know if
brother.
anyone else out there is.
I'm riding the hemp train. I'm not fired up right now, brother.
Well, I'm happy about that.
All right.
But it's like I'm conflicted. Good news, bad news, right? Good news, bad news. So
good news, bad news, my brother.
We all know the good news, and our guest today, and we're going to talk a lot about the hemp today.
We're talking big hemp.
Let's go over the bad news.
Yes. And remember, Joe, there are some speculations that these are scare tactics.
I understand that.
All right, but they can
we'll talk about
they
that.
can be very true. So let's keep our hopes up, guys. We're riding the happy train today.
Hey, we only got 3 weeks left, and we can all power through this.
We are powering, and they're powering through it. They're there to 2 o'clock every night doing other things. But
anyway.
Yes,
nothing you can say will make me have any positive thoughts about the legislators. So don't
Let's
try.
hear it, Joe. Let's hear it.
Anyway, so we've all been riding high thinking that, cannabis legalization was actually going to happen this year. We felt like we had a good amount of legislators behind us who were fighting for the equity and fighting for what we all believed in. Really, I felt like we had some allies on our side who were fighting with us.
And I saw them billboards.
At this
it looked
point,
like there was a lot of things going on, Joe. Looks like a lot of people invested a lot of time into this.
Yes, and a lot of effort into this whole movement. And I'm saying even on the legislative side.
Yes.
So, I'm not putting them all down. There were quite a few. But I'm starting to feel like we're being used as political pawns. Something came out on Friday. And it happened to just be a status written by Representative Josh Elliott.
You're talking like a Facebook status,
right?
Like
a Facebook status.
A post. The place he uses, the location he uses to communicate with his constituents.
Right.
His most highly visited. This wasn't a small comment. This was a big one.
Something he said on the news. This is something he did on Facebook, which, of course, made the news.
Yes.
So here he says this. Bad news is that legalization is looking grim. Look like it's not going to happen over the next 2 years, grim. Now let's say this. Josh Elliott has supposedly been one of our top advocates, right? Fighting hard for us. Go visiting the grow houses, really getting out there, talking to the people.
He has been.
And he says now, even the tolls are looking iffy. Whereas the tolls is a necessity. And would be astonished. But legalization is not. So, I have a feeling that the Speaker of the House, I don't want to name his name, or who's ever running the show down there, has really put it forth to them what's the priorities.
Right.
And what are we fighting for? And he
bowls,
says it right.
tolls.
I say bowls before tolls.
That's right, baby.
And it seems like the public says bowls before tolls when 71% of the public want bowls and about 10% of the public here in Connecticut want tolls, maybe 20, 30.
You know
I don't care. It's not a
even
majority.
It's not about if they want it. Some of us accept it. I accept the idea of tolls. Give me my bow. Give me my bow.
Right. If you had a choice.
A choice, one or the other.
Bowls or tolls
Bowls.
would be bowls. And I think at least the majority of the people in this state would say the same thing. So if we're being pushed by a choice here, which Josh basically says, tolls are a priority, legalization is not.
And we're not getting
what does
both
that tell
what
you?
he says.
Is basically what we're saying is we're not getting both, and they want tolls. Now, all throughout this fight, and this is before the bill has even been put together. Remember, the three pieces haven't even been put together and presented yet.
But they all passed.
They all passed their committees.
That's right.
This is historic in Connecticut. We finally felt like we were making progress here as advocates, okay?
Yep.
Right? And I am just saying right now, and I don't know if I speak on behalf of all the other advocates, but unless I hear something different, if this is true, unless it's just scare tactics and it's a way they're using us as political pawns, because they really are using legalization as a chess piece.
It is a
which
chess piece
I don't
now.
really like at all, because we're in the battle here between tolls and legalization here, which is a lot of BS. One should have nothing to do with the other. And because the way this state works and the way the old boys network and the split here between the Democratic Party, we're ending up with this kind of crap. Wait 2 more years. I don't have 2 more years to wait. I don't know if you have 2 more years to wait. But I will say right here on the air, on the record, that if legalization does not pass this year, you will not see me personally involved in the fight anymore. This is it. This is it. If they cannot do it this year, you will not see me in the fight anymore.
Right.
Bottom line.
I respect that decision, Joe. And that's a tough one because sometimes with that comes the, you know what, I might just have to take it after this year and move on to my next zone and say, Connecticut's not doing it for me. And I don't have Joe, I don't have another 2 years to wait.
No.
Just personally, it's not from,
I don't either.
It's not from being impatient. It's not from being rude. Realistically, it's more because I've put so much on the line for my family, for my life, for my career, ideally, to be able to pursue this.
Yeah.
And it took a lot of commitment this year.
Mm-hmm.
And some of us made a very large commitment to it. One of those financially, one of those no going back commitments.
Right.
So, and doing it for free as an activist. So now it's all our finances, and I've got to be able to take care of my family. And with this experience, it's taught me that maybe I might be able to go to another state and work either in the advocacy circles, working with other groups, or but it now opens that option up to where if we legalized, that wouldn't be an option because we're here.
Because
we're doing it.
I look at it this way. I've been doing this for 5 years here in Connecticut.
Yes,
I did
sir.
it for some years out in Cali. 5 years fighting the fight between Massachusetts and Connecticut when I worked with the school and here. 5 years of activism trying to get legalization here in this state. To me, that should be enough. We took it to a historic level this year. It is up to the legislators to push it over the hump.
Right.
If they cannot do that within themselves, then everybody's going to blame, the activists didn't fight hard enough for this, that, and the other thing. That's a lot of BS.
Right.
We fought as hard as we could.
Oh, did we?
And with a small amount of us compared to other states.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason there's a small amount of us is because the people in this state don't get up off their ass and do something. They'd rather sit behind a keyboard and criticize those who do. And then when things fail, see, that way the blame's not on them.
Ooh, keyboard warriors.
Yeah, the blame's not on them. See, we told you so. We told you so. And that's all you did was tell us. You didn't help us.
Right.
You didn't help us at all. And those people know who they are. And the other activists know who they are. So when this comes out, if this is the truth and we don't get legalization, I don't want to hear the crap that it's the activists' fault. Oh, it's the advocates.
It definitely
They've
wasn't
been
the advocates
fighting for
this
the
year.
wrong thing, because we have been fighting for grow rights, and we have been fighting for patient grow rights. And you know what? I blame the people in 2014 who didn't get it through on the original medical bill.
Yeah.
All right? And those are the ones who are saying, oh, see, well, you should have helped us out in the first place. And those people know who they are, too. I'm calling out a lot of people today.
I see that, Joe.
So, and I'm just sick and tired of it. So, basically, I'm just tired of fighting. And like you said, there are other areas of the country where there are more opportunities, and there's nothing holding me back,
Yep.
Where there are more opportunities. There are other states that will legalize with bloater initiatives that aren't dependent on their legislators to make their decisions for them. And there's other places to look.
You're
So,
correct, sir.
anybody who's got anything, any comments to make about this, please do it in the Facebook or
Yeah, right on the live. If you got something to say, we are live on Instagram, Facebook.
right.
I'm live on my Instagram at least, and that's where so you can follow me at your_Uncle Lou, and we can talk about it. If you got some comments, something to say, let's talk about it.
What do you guys think? Well, I'm
we
also
never
reading
do
here,
that, Joe. We never do that.
No. So this is here. Okay, this Connecticut is not the only state that this has happened in.
Right.
I was reading on Politico.com. The big headline is how Democrats are failing on legalized marijuana.
It's rough, and it should be a bipartisan issue, realistically. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Because it's on both sides, and we can place blame on each party coming from the other party. So I get what you're saying, and I read that article, and there's a lot of places for it, because realistically, on the West Coast, cannabis is a big Republican issue.
Yeah, but
on the
we're
West
not
Coast.
on the West Coast.
And that's where they're saying it's being failed here, because out on the West Coast, it's big business as
Except
well.
California.
And that's one of those big things that push it.
Well, yeah, they cited New York.
Yep.
Failed. New Jersey failed.
Yes, sir.
Looks like Illinois is failing right now. And Connecticut. This was written before this news came out.
Yeah.
In Connecticut. So, again, we don't know if this is true or not. It's just one legislator telling it.
Right.
But also, we have to remember that Senator Looney also mentioned something, too, that it might take a special session.
And he's a big boy in the group there. So, special session might be what happens, but we'll keep you guys up to date.
Yeah, and in the meantime, and also one of my representative friends did say that if they knew they had the votes, because right now they don't have the votes for either.
Right.
If they knew they had the votes, so we're going back to these 10 legislators.
Oh, man.
If they knew they had them, they would call it for a vote. But right now, they're so unsure about these last few legislators on the fence, and the governor is pressuring them for tolls.
Yeah. Tolls is such a big issue right now in the state.
And it's really a shame we got caught up in this. And I'm sure I'm not alone with the other taxpayers and the other citizens of this state. If they give us tolls over bowls, there's going to be a lot of people who are very, very upset.
A lot of people are going to be upset.
Because there's, we're not the only people who have invested our time into building an industry here in Connecticut just so that the legislators can snuff it at the last minute. Because they already gave our medical industry over to big corporate interests. These bills actually had a chance for smaller people and some equity in them that could have actually helped the state in a lot more ways than tolls could. Could have created jobs, could have created businesses, and it could create a whole industry here, whereas tolls are just going to create some construction jobs for the gantries. Once that's over, it's done.
Yeah.
It's all electronic. There's no toll keepers.
Nope.
There's nothing like that.
Nope.
So what do you got? There's no jobs created. It's only revenue. And that's the problem with this state.
Yeah.
So let's, what do we got there on Facebook? What are they saying?
Well, we've got the don't blame us for not getting home grow done in 2014. At least we got medical through. That was a huge step in CT. You're right. It was a huge step. Lou commented, so what? It still sucks.
Right.
The medical program does still suck.
Right.
Personally. And I just recently went through a new intake Into a new dispensary.
Oh yeah, how did that go? How did your new dispensary go? And by the way, who wrote that? Don't blame us there.
Don't worry about that.
Oh, I'll have to look myself
Later. It's fine. But we work together and we move forward, and I believe that right now, because it didn't go through.
And by the way, sir, I didn't know you were a part of that crew.
Either way, it didn't get through in 2014. It should be going through now. That's what I keep saying,
Right.
and that's not part of the adult use bill.
Yeah, right.
That's a completely separate bill.
And I personally
and we're pushing that
sat
bill.
in Mike D'Agostino's office and tried to push him on the idea of patient grow rights.
Yeah.
Myself personally.
And that bill is not dead. It's still alive there. It's still part of it. We got to keep working at where we're working. But always remember, if we're not pushing for that, which we've already said, we love our grow rights, we need our grow rights. But if they go, that's a hard no. Well, what about our medical patients that you already skipped over?
Right.
It's a lot easier to say, hey.
I tried it.
Yeah, it's a lot easier to say, hey, give 150K worth of patients grow rights versus 3 million adults grow rights. It keeps our very conservative state and representatives at bay a little bit as well, you know?
Right.
Says, I have somebody saying they're still waiting for my renewal email, been 30 days already. Definitely reach out to them because they did this I was under 24 hours. I got mine.
I was mine in a week.
Yeah,
I got mine back in a week.
Ridiculously quick. And I still say it sucks, but it was 24 hours.
I got mine done.
I was like, wow.
So
I was like, damn, that was
definitely
quick.
contact them. They will reply. Who knows why it's been held up?
I do believe everybody needs grow rights, but if the requirement is to get a medical license first, then go get one. It doesn't hurt anything. Go ahead and go get one.
And if that was the rules, and a lot of more people would get their licenses.
Yeah.
It would help build up the medical program. And here's what I say to the legislators. Listen.
There's always a positive spin on everything.
Maybe it's time to listen to the Republicans. If you can't get a retail plan together, if you can't get your majority voter, your majority of your party together to vote yes on what you've put together, then maybe it's time, because really the bottom line, maybe it's time to look at a Vermont-style legalization where you allow grow rights and stop arresting people. Because to me, that's the freaking bottom line.
The arrest.
Stop arresting people for this plan. Are you telling me for 2 more years we're going to have to put up with this arresting people and all this kind of junk? At least if you're going to put this off, at least give us the Vermont-style legalization and talk to the Republicans, because they actually are behind that. So it could not be dead if somebody would be creative enough to come up with that as a solution. And we suggested the same thing too. I sent an email out to a couple of legislators who asked me for my feedback, and that was right in there.
Right. And,
that if you can't get it together, then push Vermont style legalization.
Yeah. And I agree with
That's
that
what I said.
100%.
Yeah.
You know, if people don't want to get their medical license because they're afraid they're going to lose their gun rights, that sounds like a very blanket statement.
Right.
Once again, I know many people with gun licenses as well as medical marijuana licenses.
Yep.
That's a fear and some propaganda. And once again, we're all here about educating things and moving forward.
That could change.
And that could change.
Yes, that could change.
When everybody goes up in arms and says, well, I'm scared this is going to happen, well, then they're going to make it happen, realistically.
And you understand why we fight for full legalization? Because that won't be an issue with full legalization.
Well, it can definitely become an issue with the full legalization. Certain states are starting to push those laws.
How do they know if you're a user or not? Are they going to test you before you get your permit?
There's a lot of...
The
question is on
in
there.
other words, if it's legal, they said you use illegal drugs, but if you're in a legal state, it's not illegal.
Exactly. So that's also where I say...
So is there an issue with it in Colorado? No. Are they taking away people's guns now that...
Joe.
Yes.
You're not listening to what I'm saying.
Okay, what are you saying?
The fear is that they're going to lose their license, where we say, no. If it's medical, you have a license, don't you? You have a prescription. So where it says, do you use illegal drugs? The answer is no. I use a medical drug. There's comments in there about alcohol. There's in there about, so now, if you're fully legal, they could realistically say, we're going to drug test you at the time of purchasing or
Then
at the
you
time
better
of
alcohol
licensing.
test me.
That's okay.
Better opioid test me.
That's what a drug test is, Joe.
Oh, all drugs, and include
I
alcohol.
didn't say marijuana.
Include alcohol in that.
I didn't say marijuana.
Well, I don't want to get that deep into the gun control issue. First of all, I know where we stand right now, and it's in a very gray area.
So
I
let's
personally don't want to
make a
give
nosing about
anyone
it.
recommendations on what to do
I'm not.
because that's not my wheelhouse.
I'm not a lawyer.
I don't own a gun. I don't want to own a gun, so it hasn't been an issue for me.
Mm-hmm.
So for those of you who it is, I suggest you do your research real deep on your own and
Mama
decide
Vega.
for yourself if you would like to, how this issue affects you.
Right. It's all up on that individual. And right now, somebody's just going back and forth, kind of like really trying to hammer their point. I'm not a lawyer.
Right.
I'm literally a guy
Right.
on Facebook
See, that's why I
Live.
stay away from it. I don't need to get hammered.
I'm literally just a guy on Facebook Live. I'm not a lawyer. I'm
Yeah, that's why.
not a doctor. I know that I fight for my rights. And if I have to push my envelope a little bit and get all the licenses, I'd rather have all the licenses than not have them.
Right.
Because I'll take my chance getting pulled over with a gun license and a marijuana license before I get pulled over without them.
All right, our call is in. All right.
All right.
So,
Yep,
what happened?
we dropped him. It's all right.
All right.
I was talking too much. All right, he's here.
All right. So let's get off this whole thing because we did get off on a tangent there. Again, we have on the line Butch Plude.
Yes, Butch on the radio.
Butch Plude
Hello,
is
everyone.
the CEO of Sweet Tiva Super Soils, and I understand it's also going to be Sweet Tiva Farms very, very soon. We just went over, Butch, I don't know if you've been listening, but we just went over what Josh Elliott said and the chances of legalization actually not happening this year. So we wanted to talk to you about something that the legislator actually did right this year, which was to start a hemp research pilot program for the state of Connecticut. And they started it actually in enough time to get seeds in the ground this year. So as we bash them for not pushing legalization, let's commend them for doing this. And Butch, I wanted to have you on particularly because I saw a post you put on Facebook, and you had the application right there. And I don't want to say your comment. I'd rather have you talk about it because you're one of the first people I know to be filling out this application. Tell us a little bit about this hemp program. What is the application like? What does it concern, and what can we do under this program? You know, who's covering what? Give us a little overview of your experience with it so far.
Okay, so what you're going to do is go out to the ctgrows.gov website, and that is a portal for the hemp program. Once you get in there, you're going to register, create a password and log in, and it'll allow you to go in and apply for your license or permit. In that process, it's probably better. They have a zip file there to download everything, and then you could fill stuff out. There's forms that you have to sign, and then you have to scan them back in and then upload them back up to the website.
Right.
So it is time consuming. I spent, though, probably a good 2 hours last night, and I got to a point where we got to seeds. And the state of Connecticut, if you don't fill in certain information, you can't continue with the process.
Right.
So what you have to do is you actually have to source your seeds prior to applying for the license itself.
Good advice for
Go
everybody.
any further because you're going to need your certifications that you have to upload so that they can verify. Along with that, there's also a criminal background check that you're going to have to pay for yourself. And I believe they are trying to get that pushed through within like 15-day turnaround period.
Quick question on that, Butch. I looked through the regulations and it didn't say who will be excluded. Like, what are they finding on that background check that would exclude you from being in the industry?
Yeah, on the background check, what they're looking for, if you had a felony conviction in the last 10 years, you won't be able to apply. So
okay, see, there we go again. I'm not
so
going to comment on that.
Check on everybody.
Okay, so it's 10
if
years,
you're
not 5.
currently in the process, or you have never been convicted, but or maybe charged with a felony but never tried or convicted, you'll be fined.
Okay, or if you've been expunged, right? Obviously, it's off your
Or
record.
expunged. Correct.
Okay, so as of now, if you are a felon and your felony is less than 10 years old, now does this mean as an employee, or does it just mean
Just grower.
as just like a
As a
licensee?
license holder.
Okay.
So you can't pull a license if you're a felon in the last 10 years.
But we
Okay.
can have one working the field.
Yeah, but unlike the medical industry, you can they don't tell you who you can and can't hire.
Correct.
Very good. Well, that's a plus. Now, what are the fees
is.
associated with this? I understand they're fairly reasonable.
The fees are, for cultivator, for instance, the fee for a cultivator is a $50 application fee, and then the registration fee is another $50, and then another $50 for recertification in 6 months. So for a cultivator, it's $150 for this year. An extractor is a $50 application fee and $250 for the registration fee.
So it costs
And
you
the
$300.
$250, I believe, is paid twice a year, so it's actually $500.
So they're kind of charging you per crop.
Mhm.
They're saying you could
Right.
probably get 2 crops, so I'm going to charge you per crop rather than per acre per year. So they're
Yep.
charging you twice
It's
a
not
year.
a horrible thing.
It's not a bad price. So for $50 for a fee compared to $75,000 for a big cultivator fee to be a medical cultivator, I think that's a fairly reasonable
Right.
big difference. Now, what? And now I understand. Now, who is it? This program now, if you're a grower, you're going to be overseen. Like there's other things in this bill that tell that you have to have your GPS coordinates. You have to allow the
Right.
Department of Agriculture to come in and do inspections on you. There's quite a few things that you need to do to stay in line with the state of Connecticut here. And I understand the Department of Agriculture is going to regulate the growers. So
Correct.
let's talk about that
Right.
part first.
All right. So as Butch was kind of saying, Joe, on the grower side, the Department of Agriculture is going to oversee the program, and the things you're talking about are the testing results.
Right.
They'll be testing 3 times a year, which the farmer would, which the licensee would pay for, the company would pay for. So, Butch, please correct me if I'm wrong. This is all standard things within the entire industry, so it's not even anything that it causes any
Right, it's
alarms.
nothing out of the ordinary. I mean, if
For
you're a
any
grower
crop.
anyways, once you're
Right.
heading into flower, you're going to want to start testing and keep an eye on your CBD and your THC levels. Not
Right.
so much the CBD, you just want to see that go up. THC, we don't want it to see go above that 0.3.
Right. And
So
they, and
if
it
it
says,
approaches that, then we're going to end our crop and either take it early or now Connecticut also allows for destruction
Yeah, I was
of
gonna go
crop
there.
without
Yeah.
prosecution. So if they do find that it is over marginally, they'll allow you to destroy that crop without fear of being
of
arrested.
repercussions.
and now I want to clarify to everybody, this does not, unfortunately, allow for home grow of hemp.
No.
You still have to be registered. It's not like tomatoes yet. Even though it's the
Correct.
Department of Agriculture, you are still not allowed to home grow hemp. Now let's talk about it. You're a cultivator. What are you going to do with your product now? I know the producers here in Connecticut are going to be regulated by the DCP. And from what I understand, there's already some issue about how the CBD part is going to be regulated. Do you have any insight on this? Or do you plan on just being a cultivator?
The information that they have on the site there, we are allowed to use it for CBD human consumption. It is not yet allowable, I should say, for animal feed. We could have it, but animals can't yet. And I believe that's forthcoming. It's probably a way to do away with either damaged crop or something like that, where it could be put back into a feed instead of a medicinal consumption.
And that's because we use the cannabis hemp plant for so many beneficial things, like the
let's talk
seed
about that
hull.
real
We
quick.
talk about we juice the leaves. So there's so many other beneficial items, and growing hemp as a food source for animals and livestock is going to be huge.
Yeah, here's what it says, basically. I downloaded some of this. First of all, yes, you can get it certified organic if you want to go through the USDA
Yes,
process.
sir.
Right.
Second of all, it doesn't really ban any specific pesticides, which I wish it did. Unfortunately, unless you do want to go organic, then you would have to, comply with what they say is organic. Now, what can we process under Department of Agriculture? What could we make hemp into under Department of Agriculture? Not aside from CBD.
Biomass.
What other
Biomass,
uses?
and then once that's sold off, it could be made into a number of products.
Right.
Oils. It could be made into papers, clothing, plastics. At that point, it's out to the manufacturers really for processing.
Right. Okay.
So as the farming manufacturer, the farming manufacturers are going to produce the hemp plant.
Right.
All they're looking to do is sell the actual plant in large quantities.
Bulk. And we went over the prices of that.
Last week,
from 50...
week, Mike Goodenough told us that it was about $40 to $50 a pound for the outdoor season, and about $250 to $300 on the indoor boutique bud. So, Butch, do you find that those numbers are about right as well?
Yeah, they are in line. Of course, there's more work involved with the boutique.
Right.
Outside, it's pretty much set and go, and you're just keeping an eye on.
Right, you're just selling the whole thing, right? Stalks, everything. Right. As a bio, and you can do this out of state, correctly? You could either sell it to a Connecticut license producer, or you can sell it out of state.
So that's kind of where
everything once it's sold off as a biomass, then as long as the documentation from seed, from where the seed was purchased, and your testing results are with it, you should be have no problem transporting.
And then you can transport throughout the 50 states because it's a federally legal crop, and those manufacturing rules that we are so stringent upon now in Connecticut, those manufacturers might even be beat out by probably local out-of-state competitors,
Right.
So, so depending on how Connecticut regulates the processors, we'll have to see how that goes.
And getting back to processors, too, the way the system in Connecticut is set up, they have that separate extraction license. So I know there was talk with the medical program. So if there was licensing available, if we had able to grow or whatever, that if you were a cultivator, you couldn't hold all three licenses: the cultivation, the extraction, and retail. Now, what's nice here, we could hold both the extraction and cultivation.
Right.
So you could pretty much, carry your product right to, from seed all the way to sale. And then, because we don't, there's no retail license for hemp, so you could do all three.
Right. There's not a license for a hemp dispensary right now.
Right.
Now, let me ask you a question. Let's say you extract the CBD, and this is where I heard there may be some controversy here. I have heard that some of the medical facilities actually may be interested in purchasing some of this stuff once it's extracted. Did you hear any of this?
I haven't heard it, but there is, of course, there's going to be byproducts there that would be of interest of the medical community.
Yeah, I've got to say the dispensaries are, if there's anything that they're low on, it's high CBD product.
Right.
So, Butch, I want to thank you for this overview you gave of the hemp. And personally, on a personal level, are you focusing on the growing, the cultivation, or the processing? Are you going to be involved in both here in Connecticut?
A little bit in both, but more so in the cultivation part.
Right, because that's your experience, and that's really what you're passionate about and what you want to do.
Right.
It's nice at least that
the
state
big
is allowing you to do that.
program here, I mean, there, one, you need a land lease. You have to prove that you have a place to grow. So if you don't have that property yourself, you need to get a signed paper, and that document is on there also. You also have to source your seeds prior to applying for the
and there's links on the page
program.
to
so there's a few
approved
things
seed
that have
growers.
to be done ahead of time.
We're just giving
and
everybody
of course,
a free
I would
consultation.
getting into this. I would also look for an endpoint and make sure that you have a contract for the sale of your product at the end, because you don't want to be left with something that you can't do anything with.
Yeah, because it'll rot and go bad and all that, and then you lose your whole crop. Right. So, all right. On another note, so it's good at least that now Connecticut, we're going to have a new industry. let's talk about the other side of the coin, because I know all of us here have been involved in the legalization fight. I'm sure you've seen the latest news that it may not happen this year. I don't know. You probably may. I don't know what you hear from your legislator friends. My legislator friends told me that we're still a few votes away, and that Arsimowitz has said tolls are a priority over legalization. That's just what I've heard. I'd like to get your take on what's going on. You've been up there. You've been at some of the hearings. I know you and I and Lou were all an advocate for patient grow rights, at least. What's your thoughts on this, Butch?
My take, something's telling me that they're going to use the adult use cannabis as a bargaining chip for tools or for tolls. And I think we're going to see something possibly, towards the end, if somebody push comes to shove, go into special session, which I would love at this point, and let them fight it out and do a give and take. We may wind up with both, a reduction in tolls. We may get legalization. We don't know. But I'd like to see them, if there's no chance at all and it's tolls or nothing, I'd like to see us go into a special session at the end.
Right. So your thoughts are that this is kind of a tactic being used by them to, scare the legislators and also kind of scare the advocates. But in the end, it's not dead, and that we still have a chance. So people should not give up and continue the fight.
The last day of session. When the lights go off and they shut the door, that's when it's dead.
Right. So now, what can we do? What can the people do? The average people do? I know you've been out there a lot. What can we do to get these last few legislators over the fence? I mean, the information's out there. I put it out here on the radio. It's all out there on Facebook. If you don't know who these people are by now, you just go to the Connecticut Normal Facebook page, and they are listed right there with pictures.
CBIA, the Connecticut Business Institute, they have a great website, and you can email all your representatives at one time.
Right.
And that's the big point. I mean, they do hear us. We get responses. If you send the email out, they do respond. Not so much with me anymore. They're probably tired of hearing from
me. Too. They don't even return my calls.
But they do respond. And some of them are favorable.
And they need to hear from other people besides us. This is what they, like you just said, they're tired of hearing from you and me and the same people all the time. If they hear from new people.
The response that I'm getting from them is, we just don't see it.
Yeah. Because they hear more from the prohibitionists.
Or they don't go, or they call, and they just, I want legalization because, well, why does it impact you?
Right. Right. And
let them know how, either they can make money, how it impacts your life, how it can help you.
Yeah.
Because it's all medicinal.
Right. And
whether it's recreational or medical marijuana, it's all medicinal.
Right. And what they got to understand is, even the way the bill is written, with some of the money going into neighborhoods that were disproportionately affected by the war on drugs, you look at a place like Waterbury, and you have 3 legislators there who are on the fence. Now, Waterbury would definitely, it's already on the list of opportunity zones. They would definitely benefit from this bill, some of the money. What's the holdup there? And these are Democratic legislators. These are not the Waterbury Republicans out there who are on the fence. So you look in Stanford. Why in Stanford and Norwalk? So
it's weird.
It's some of these areas are not, where you would think. It's not these local areas where they don't even know. They live in a bubble.
They support it too. That's the surprising
they supported
thing.
the hemp.
The big blocks are the bigger towns.
Yes.
The cities that were actually the ones that were affected by this.
Right. You got 3 of them I just named: Waterbury, Stanford, and Norwalk. 3 towns that were affected by this, and and there's even one in Bridgeport who's on the fence. So tell me, 4 towns that could benefit from the money, already slated, they're already in opportunity zones, and they're still on the fence. So what is it? We gotta figure out a way to get them over. And I know you and I are both big proponents of the grow rights, but for some reason in this state, they are just so ignorant about why it's necessary. And that's really one of the most frustrating things for me. No matter how many times you bring it up, and that's what people don't understand. They just don't understand it. They just don't want to listen. Do you agree with me?
Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah. I mean, it's not
And then
like
you get
we
the
haven't
ones,
been
you know,
fighting
they'll
for
tell
it.
you one thing, and you know, the next week later, it's like, you know, a 180. It's okay.
Yeah, well, look at the guy just on
And
Facebook.
you got to try to, you know, figure them out. Every time you see a representative up there, you got to figure out, you know, how their day was today, who they just got done talking to before you get the answer that you're expecting.
I mean, we were all up there last Wednesday, right? And didn't we all leave with a positive feeling about that, right? We
Yeah.
got all that news coverage. You know, it was nice. We talked to
Yeah.
some legislators. Good feeling about it. And then no more than 2 days later, we get this kick in the head from Josh Elliott, you know? So I don't know. It's been a real roller coaster with this, and I am on you're with this. I'll be glad when it's over.
You know, well, here's the thing. You know, they had a no tolls rally. You know, we should set something up and go up to Hartford and do
You know what my
the
fear is,
cannabis
Butch?
rally. I mean, that was packed. Whenever we hold these things, there's nobody shows. We get a handful of
That's the
people.
problem. And I think we should team up with the tolls people. Maybe it's time. Maybe it's time we
Yeah.
team up with the tolls people, because I'm sure a lot of them would rather see bowls than tolls. So maybe that is the time. Maybe we team up with the tolls people and really go after it, because it's getting to the point in Connecticut where the average person can't afford to live here anymore. And you want to add more and more and
Well,
not
the
give
whole
us
thing,
anything.
Even getting back to the tolls, you know, they're going to give you a discount for an Easy Pass. Now, Easy Passes, you need a credit card to charge.
Right.
There's a lot of people that can't afford the credit card or don't have one,
Right.
so they won't be able to get the Easy Pass, and they won't get the discount.
Yeah, no, it's the whole system is wrong, and the way they want to do it is just so oversaturated with tolls. I mean, even Massachusetts has tolls, but there's 13 tolls in the whole state. Two roads have tolls. I mean, they're selective.
Right. It's not a horrible thing.
It's the
no.
road into Boston. Basically,
where all the money's coming.
You know, and if they thought like that, maybe I would be more acceptable to it. Maybe if you told me, well, we're going to have 12 tolls. Okay, that's
The
fine.
easiest way I found getting out of Boston is usually the day of freedom rally there.
Right.
Usually I get lost when I get right out on that day.
Right? All right, Butch, we got to go, but I really, really appreciate it. How does one get in touch with you, or get in touch with you if they're interested, maybe in some consulting or whatever you're doing now?
They could reach me at nplude@sweettiva.com.
nplude@sweettiva.com. So
Right.
again, Butch here is applying for a hemp license. We know he'll get accepted. So I'm assuming, Butch, that once you're accepted and you got your thing going, you're going to need some workers, right?
Oh, absolutely.
So there you go,
You know,
people.
we'll be setting that up too once we get going. If you want to learn how to grow hemp, we'll be setting something up.
And people know that it is.
I should
basically
say cannabis. because
Right.
it's
I
all
was
the
just
same
going to
plant.
say that. Right. So this would be a good experience for people who want to get in the industry, even though it may not be legal here in Connecticut. We can at least grow legal hemp, and you learn that way, and you get experience that way. So, Butch, please keep us informed, and we will put that out on the air for you. You know, help you get some workers for you for the hemp fields.
That'd be great.
All right, brother.
All right. Thank you very, very
All right.
much, man. We appreciate it. It was very informative. And we'll talk to you soon,
Alrighty,
man.
we'll
Thanks
talk
for
to
all
you
your
soon,
hard
guys.
work, Butch. We appreciate
Keep her
you.
there?
No, Keeper's not in today.
She is working.
I didn't hear her chime in usually. And I said,
And
let
you
me
know
just
she
say
would've.
hey anyway.
She's awesome. She's working, busting out the big moves over there and taking care of everything. She just posted a big old bouquet of roses and in the office. So
Oh,
it was
nice.
awesome. Yeah, she's
Nice.
working down at Yale doing her thing.
All right. Butch, we'll talk to
Alrighty,
you
guys.
soon.
We'll talk to you soon.
Keep up the
All
good
right.
fight.
All right.
Take care, man.
Bye bye.
Bye-bye. That was very informative.
It was.
I hope people listened.
He's a world of knowledge, and it's a beautiful thing.
Yeah, well, he's been fighting the fight for a while.
Mhm.
You know, he was involved, I know, in the Yukon grow there in the
Yep.
beginning. So and he knows what he's doing. You know, he knows what he's doing. He's a good guy. And, I think his heart's in the right place for the
I
industry.
wish all
he
of
really
those
cares
guys
about
total luck.
patients.
Yeah, I really,
know what I
really
mean?
wish all those guys as growers and as hemp and cannabis producers are
Yeah.
very positive and making those transitions work well.
And I hope that some of the guys that we know who are really hoping to get involved in the cannabis industry, I hope they don't give up and maybe they get involved in the hemp industry. You know what I mean?
Right.
There's guys out there I know who really, really wanted to get a license and and do some kind of craft cannabis and boutique stuff here in Connecticut. But, don't give up. Get involved in the hemp industry.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? I mean, I know this year is kind of a pilot program, and they're going to kind of be looking at the results and seeing it and testing it, and that's going to determine where they go with it next year.
Right.
But, it's a start.
It is.
It's a start.
It's only a start, brother.
Yeah. So, thank you to the legislators for passing hemp, and we'll see where we go with cannabis. I'm not going to make any judgments. I'm just putting out the facts, what was put out on Facebook and even in the New Haven, Hartford Current, that possibly legalization may not be happening.
Mm-hmm.
But we also say don't give up.
Don't give up hope.
Because it could be scare tactics.
That's right.
Could be political moves. And that's one of the most discouraging things, I guess, that, we fight hard because we believe in this.
That's right.
These guys are doing it as political chess players and all that. It's a hard pill to swallow, but I guess, it's one of the things we take up as activists. But
yeah, and the next thing will be magic mushrooms. That's what I was listening to this morning on Dr. Oz.
I saw an article.
Dr. Oz.
That the Denver Denver pastors out there said that legalizing magic mushrooms will lead to demonic behaviors.
Wow.
Yeah.
Dr. Oz said it was good.
Dr. Oz, I believe it is good.
Dr. Oz.
But the pastors out there believe it's going to lead to satanic and demonic behaviors.
Yeah. I like Dr. Oz's idea better.
I agree. Dude, it's a natural plant.
Whatever.
It is a natural. I'd laugh if they legalized it here before cannabis.
What Dr. Oz said was AA was founded by a gentleman who quit drinking by using some type of out of body
was it
experience.
Dr. Bill or
I don't know the program.
Dr. Bob or Bill W.
He talked about it pretty heavily that it was probably on something like psilocybin or LSD or acid, and that's what got the guy to stop drinking.
Sure.
Crazy.
Yeah.
But they say through meditation and prayer and everything else. But
they got the
hack.
whole steps.
He called it hacked. The
all
hack
on
was
steps.
to take mushrooms. I was like, wow.
Wow. Well, I'm going to have to tell them that.
Dr. Oz.
Hey, what's wrong with you?
I don't know. So, we're wrapping up. What do we have going on, Joe? Let's pay the bills, maybe?
This Saturday, we have let's pay the bills.
Let's pay the bills, Joe.
You're listening to Cannabis Corner on WNHHLP 103.5 FM, broadcasting live from downtown New Haven. We're streaming live on TuneIn Radio and NewHavenIndependent.org. We're also streaming live video on Facebook Live. Just go to facebook.com/NewHavenIndependent or go to your Facebook page and look us up.
That's right.
And if you would like me to narrate your next commercial, please give me a call.
You know what? We should be hashtag weed maps, hashtag leafly, hashtag all of them, because I see those billboards, guys.
Yeah,
Weed Max, you need to listen to this.
That's my next career, guys.
This is independent radio, and you can come sponsor some of this independent radio with that money, Weed Maps.
Well, I'm telling you, we have looked for sponsors, and most of them say until weed is legal here in Connecticut, it's not worth their investment.
I know, it's crazy. Weed Maps, come after us,
and the
please.
medical people are not allowed to do anything like this. No sponsorship.
They can't sponsor.
But yet, I hear Canacare docs sponsoring something on another radio station, which I'm going to bring up to the DCP. Anyway, now cooking with cannabis. With Uncle Lou is 10 a.m.
10 a.m.
This Saturday at the Grove in Milford. That's 158 Bridgeport Avenue, for those of you who don't know. Uncle Lou, you're going to be going over decarboxylation, how to make canna butter, how to make oil, how to infuse.
We're going to
over everything.
We're going to go over the basics.
Right.
This is an introductory class to it, so we'll give you the history. So you'll understand what decarboxylation is, why you would decarb flour, how you would work with the flour, and then we'll move into what people normally use more these days, concentrates, wax, and distillates.
And how to put that into foods.
And how to move that back and forth. There's also a small section on some terpenes and how to just put it into fatty solubles to move it into emulsions versus suspensions, those little things like that. How to make a quick gravy.
Oh, nice.
Joe,
cookies, I've been to class a few
you've been to class a couple times, Joe.
There's always some sampling.
Oh, I never heard that. What'd you say?
Always some sampling. All right, anyway. So that's at 10 o'clock Saturday. Please contact me if you're interested. You can contact joeluckproductions@gmail.com. And then on June the 5th, we have the Connecticut MMP discussion group, which is the last day of session, June the 5th, next 2 Wednesdays from now. That is also at the Grove at 7 o'clock, 158 Bridgeport Avenue. Other than that, that's pretty much
Sunday. Sunday, you have a craft fair. every
that
Sundays,
doesn't start
right?
until July.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry. That starts in
That's
July.
July,
But
yeah.
if you are a crafter, a jewelry person, or
anything like that,
Go Joe's.
you sell records.
Yep.
I would love to have a record vendor there, a CBD book vendor there.
But we're looking for crafts, things other than just CBD products.
to add. We're going to do a little fair on Sundays starting the first week of July, going through October, and we're looking for 6 specific vendors
It'll
who
be
want to
awesome.
come every week
It'll
and
be
take
beautiful.
advantage of the farmers market that's already there.
There is
So
a
there's a
small
built-in
community.
crowd.
Exactly. There's a community already there that's not necessarily the cannabis community, but it is a very artistic, happy, lively,
Yes.
bohemian vibe.
Right.
So we want to make sure you guys come on out.
Yes, and there's also all kinds of opportunities down at the Grove to put your artwork up on the wall,
Right.
and to sell it, and buy CBD coffee, and all kinds of cool stuff. Contact info@thegrovect.com. We are also open Canna Health. We have a Canna Health office at the Grove, which will be open this Wednesday from 2 to 6 if you need your medical marijuana recommendation. Again, you can visit cannahealth.com or info@thegrovect.com. Now, what are you looking at here?
Oh,
What are the
I'm
comments?
just reading,
Anything
which
good
is awesome.
before we go off?
Gentleman said, hey, I was a big supporter of the program in the beginning of the whole. We had to make some concessions, which, yes, that's where we're at right now as well. We may have to make that concession for adult use grow rights, but we don't have to concede the patient rights. You already had to concede it once, so let's work together and move forward and keep going. You know, I tell people go ahead and get their medical marijuana card.
Yeah.
The access is so easy nowadays. You can literally go to some place like Canna Health, your own individual person, a Canacare Docs, or any of those other companies that are out there that are doing it. We like our awesome Kebra, so we support Canna Health.
And apparently, look, they're trying to lower the fees.
Yep.
That was one thing that was supposed to happen with legalization.
Yep. And as they add more qualifying conditions, we got to make sure those pharmacists still have jobs, bro.
Yeah, exactly. Right, our friends like Brian. And again, sir, on Facebook, I did not know you were part of that crew. Anyway, next week we will be off. It is Memorial Day.
Woohoo!
And so we will be back the 3rd of June, and hopefully we'll know more about legalization. Other than that, keep up with Connecticut Normal.
That's right.
And to know any updates. And we will see you on the 3rd of June. Everybody enjoy their Memorial Day.
Yes.
Hopefully we see you at the cooking class.
We'll have a lot of fun.
Don't give up the fight, because you never know. There could be a whole new story by the time.
That's right. And Joe, you can follow Joe for the next 2 weeks at GoGo Joe's on Instagram and Facebook and all the other places. And then what else, Joe?
That's it.
Oh.
I'm done.
And then you can follow me at your_Uncle Lou.
That's it.
On Instagram there. All right. Stay happy, healthy, and high. And we'll see you on June 3rd.
Yeah, June the 3rd.
June 3rd.
Wow.
I told the plug I need 100 pigs. Now my shoebox got 100 G. I told my plug I need 100 pigs. Now my shoebox got 100 G. I told the plug I need 100 pigs. Now my shoebox got 100 G. I told my plug I need 100 pigs. Now my shoebox got 100 G. I'm in Cali every week. I go hard. Grower said he got sour, need that whole yard. I'm chasing turkey bag. You chasing gold yard. Tell the dime we won't go far.